Good morning. Good morning. I am Afi Green. I am a plant-based chef. So I just wanted to say good morning. Good morning. While we wait for some people to jump on, I'll just tell you a little bit about me. My name is Afi Green. I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Philly, by way of Newark, New Jersey. And I am so glad to be a part of the Greater Newark Conservancy Fun in the Kitchen. Yay! I know I sound crazy, y'all. Good morning, guys. Good morning. All right, so I'm going to talk about what we're going to do today. So, if anyone has purchased their kits, I hope you did, and you're signing on, we are making this delicious tofu kebabs. I know you're not going to be able to read the instructions on here, but that's okay because I'm going to tell you what you need to do with them. I just wanted to kind of show you what we're doing. The reason I chose tofu kebabs, grilled tofu kebabs, because it's summertime, it's June. And a lot of people put things on the grill. I'm not doing the grill today. I have a grill pan. That's what we're using today to actually cook our kebabs on. But if you're at home and you want to do this on your grill, you can. Let's see, let's just talk about some of the ingredients that are on here that we're going to use. So we have white button mushrooms. You can use portobello if you choose to. We have grape tomatoes, which another name for those are cherry tomatoes. I have one zucchini, a red onion, and a green bell pepper, and of course, my tofu. So prior to coming on the camera, guys, I actually set my tofu over to the side and I took a glass dish. You could take a glass dish or a bowl and put it on top to press out the water. Tofu has a lot of water inside. So what you want to do is get rid of as much water as you can, because if not, it's going to take a longer time to absorb the ingredients that you're putting in tofu. Tofu is basically made from soybeans. When I was a little kid, and that was a long, long time ago, I actually made fresh tofu with my mom. It's kind of a hard process, but it was actually kind of fun. I'm actually trying to get her to give me the recipe because I want to be able to make it myself, but it's kind of time consuming. So to avoid all of that, I just go to the store and I buy this. I actually usually buy my tofu from an Asian market because it's usually less expensive. You don't necessarily have to go there. If you choose to go to any of the local grocery stores, ShopRite, Stop and Shop, Aldi. I think Aldi carries it. I'm not really sure. I usually get my vegetables from Aldi though. And if you choose not to use tofu, you can use chicken or shrimp. Those are the type of meats that you would probably put on a kebab. Beef is, I mean, it's up to you, but I wouldn't recommend that. But hey, you might know more than me when it comes to that portion. I just speak from the plant-based version. So these are our skewers that the vegetables are going to go on. Now, if you were to use a actual grill, you're actually going to want to take these skewers and actually set them in a thing of water, because what you want is for them not to burn. If you put them on an actual real fire grill and you don't wet them, they're going to burn up. So the water inside of the wood will keep them from burning. So that's just a little tip. We're not doing that today because we're not, like I said, using an actual grill to do our kebabs. All right, so let's put the tofu aside and let's talk about our marinade. Our marinade is what we're going to use, which is like your base. This is what the tofu is going to go into first. After that, then we're going to talk about chopping and knife skills, because if you're going to use a knife, you need to know how to use it properly. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and get started with our ingredients for our marinade. All right, so I have a big jar of soy sauce. I get this from Aldi. You can get it from anywhere. You might have it in your pantry. A lot of these things are things that you already have at home. Apple cider vinegar. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, you can use white vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is actually really inexpensive. You can get the Hain brand. They've got a store brand. Any brand will actually work. I sometimes use a brand called Bragg's, but that's not necessary. You can use any brand of apple cider vinegar you would like. Let's see what else. We have olive oil. We're gonna put some paprika in there. And if you got your kit, you should have all of those little things and these little cute cups. I hope you got those. All right, and then I have my sea salt in a little container. This is called liquid smoke. So anyone that purchased the kit, you'll see you'll either have a tall container or you'll have a little container. Liquid smoke is basically what's gonna give it that smoky flavor. To be honest with you, I'm not really sure of all the properties in it, but it's really to give that smoky grill taste. So if you were to put it on like seafood or any type of meat or vegetables, it gives that real smoky flavor. So that's what's going in here. So, and this is already pre-measured, so you don't have to worry about measuring anything if you got your kit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dump that in the bowl. Make sure you have a bowl with you guys, because if you don't have a bowl, then you're not going to be able to make this. So you want to make sure you have your bowl. All your vegetables have been washed, because I washed mine before we came on camera. Let's see. And you need to have a measuring cup. This is a half a cup measuring cup. If you got a glass one, whatever you have on hand, use it. If you don't even have a measuring cup, use a cup. A tall like cup about this size is 8 ounces. That is 1 cup. If you want to go half that, you would do half of that cup. That would be half a cup. All right. So I added my smoky to the bowl here. We are going to do a half a cup of olive oil. If you don't have olive oil, you can use canola oil or vegetable oil, whatever oil you have on hand. And I'm just going to pour this in here. I hope everybody's having an awesome Saturday. It's beautiful here. Like I said, I'm so glad to be a part of this. And I'm glad I still have olive oil left, because I have my cast iron pot and I need to make sure I have olive oil for that. If you have spray oil and you have a cast iron grill pan, you can use that too. I just actually forgot mine, so I wanted to make sure I had enough of the olive oil. All right, so then we're gonna add our half a cup of soy sauce. I'm just gonna pour this in here. This one has one of those little lids that have the section in it, so it doesn't dump all out at the same time. The other thing I try to use too is a low sodium version, just to keep down the sodium content. Soy sauce has a high content of sodium. If you're really into plant-based options, there's another thing called tamari. You could use that, or there is this product called coconut aminos. I forgot. I should have brought those just to show you guys on camera. The next time I'll bring those and let you guys see what I'm referring to, but you can always Google it. And those are good replacements for soy sauce. All right, so I have that. I have this. Now I need to do the apple cider vinegar. It's a half a cup of that as well, guys. And then we're gonna add our spices, and then we're just going to whisk that up. All right, guys, if you don't have a whisk, this is a whisk right here. If you don't have one, you can use a spoon. It doesn't really matter. You can use a fork. A fork actually sometimes works like a whisk because it has the little spaces in between. So you basically, the whisk is to create air. That's the reason why this is made like that. All right, so I'm gonna add my garlic. It's already measured out, so I don't have to do any measuring. And then I do have to measure this because this is salt. We don't want to dump a whole thing of salt in there, because if you over salt something, oh my God, you cannot pull it back. You just have to trash it, and we don't want that. We don't want to waste. Okay. Then we're gonna put a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And I just have a regular teaspoon, so I just did like half of this. I'm gonna tell you a little thing, guys. Normally when I cook, I really don't use measuring cups and stuff like that when I'm actually doing culinary, just because I usually season to taste. And so you can do it. Now, if I were baking something, I would not do that. Once you get all of those ingredients in there, guys, you're just going to take it and just whisk it up. Just like that. I'm going to put this in front of this camera, guys. Oh, did I lose it? Lose my camera? Hang on, is it still on? Oh, yeah, it's still on. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see what that looks like. I just put it in front of that camera, but that's what it should look like when it's done. Okay. So let's just set that over to the side here. Oh, wait. I just forgot an important ingredient. See, this is why you mise en place, but even with mise en placing, and that's just a term that I say in the kitchen. It just means everything in its place. Even when you mise en place, sometimes you still forget. I forgot to add the paprika. How did I forget that? It's sitting right here in front of my face. You know, but it happens. Cooking is live. It's real. Sometimes even the most famous and professional chefs forget things. You know, you'd be amazed that if you actually watch a real live cooking show, the things that they have to edit out because things get forgotten. All right, so I added my paprika. I'm just gonna whisk that up, and that's done on that. Okay, so let's move these things out of my way. I don't need these over here anymore. Just want to make room here. All right, so that's out of my way. Let's pull my plate down. Let's talk about cutting and knife skills. All right, so this is called a chef knife. The way that you would hold this is you're going to take your whatever finger or hand you are. So if you're right-handed, you're going to use your right hand. Grab it around the handle. Take your thumb and place it around the front part of the blade. This is actually how you should hold your knife. Your hand is not going to get cut. This is where it should be. No fingers up here. No holding it back here. That's not steady. You're actually going to wind up tipping the knife and then cutting yourself because you're not holding it properly. All right. So the opposite hand, which is my left hand, I'm going to take it, and I call this like the bear claw. It's a real technical term that a lot of people use. It's not really that technical. It's more about just clawing your fingers together, because what I'm showing you is that if your knife is resting against your knuckles, you can never get cut. If your fingers are out here, this is when you got to pull the Band-Aids out. And we don't want that, because then we got to get rid of everything, you know, so let's avoid that. All right. And even with kids, they have knives that have plastic sleeves that actually are made for children to cut on. You can teach a child that's young as 3 years old to be able to cut. It's actually a good skill to have, because if you're in the kitchen with your children, you need to have them learn how to actually use a knife properly. That's how people stay safe. The other thing is making sure that your knife is sharp. A dull knife actually is worse than having a sharp knife. If you get cut, let's just say that happens and the knife is not sharp, your injury could be worse. So we're going to avoid all that, and we're going to take that all off the table, and we're just going to be safe in the kitchen. So I'm going to grab my knife, and I hope you guys can see. Let me move my vegetables over out the way a little bit so you guys can see how I'm going to cut this. And I'm just going to cut these in chunks, and then we're going to place that in the marinade. And then we're going to set that aside for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to start cutting our vegetables. All right, so my tofu chunk has been pressed. I'm going to grab my knife. Remember how I told you to grab it. Thumb here, fingers here, steady. You're going to take this hand here, and you're basically just going to cut this in slices. I'm doing probably about an inch. You know, the other thing you can do with tofu is actually put it in the freezer. And when you put it in the freezer, it changes the consistency and the texture. And so what happens, it makes it more meaty, which is always a good thing. Tofu will take up any seasoning that you put on there. And as long as you do the proper proportions of seasoning, it'll soak it up. All right, so we can do this one of two ways. We can either do these individually and cut, which I will do so that you guys can see it. And then when you become a pro, you can actually start stacking them. All right, I'm just gonna set these over to the side, those 3 over there. So I got like 5 slices out of that. All right, so then I'm gonna take it and I'm going to cut it in half. You wanna make sure always that the bottom part of your knife and the tip kind of stay on the cutting board. Try not to lift the knife up from the cutting board as much because it really needs to stay on the cutting board until you're actually pulling it out. All right, and then you're gonna cut the other one in half. All right, and then we can turn the cutting board around if you want and get fancy with it. Push those 2 together, and then you're going to do chunks. I'm doing probably about 1 inch. All right, and then we got our chunks of tofu right here. And then I'm gonna just take these and put these in the marinade. This marinade is already smelling really good. You can also do this overnight and let them soak overnight, and they're really, it's like, oh, they're so good, so good. All right, let's take 2 more. Do the same thing. So cut in half, cut in half. Then take, kind of squish them together, cut them again in chunks. Boom. All right. Then just take it and just dump it in there. All right, we got 1 more chunk left. I also try to get the firm tofu. Please don't get silken. Silken is actually made for desserts, and it will actually say that on the package. There are different types of tofu. Silken is for desserts because it's creamier. You can actually make mayonnaise. You can make ricotta with it. Get the one that says firm on your package. They also have it where it's sprouted. Most tofus are non-GMO right now, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to kind of like swish this around. I got all my tofu cut. I'm gonna put this in the camera, guys, so you can see that. I hope you guys can see. Kind of just squish that around. If you want to use a spoon or a spatula, you can too. I try not to touch this that much because it's still fragile right now, and tofu will break up on you if you kind of manipulate it too much, which just means kind of stirring it around. So I just usually use the liquid that's inside of it to stir it. All right, so I'm going to set that right there. I have a timer on my phone. Okay, I'm gonna set my timer for like 15 minutes. All right, so my timer is going. That's gonna sit there for 15 minutes, guys. So I can move this cutting board out of the way. All right, let's talk about our vegetables. The only thing that we really have to cut are our mushrooms. Well, actually, we're not gonna cut our mushrooms because well, let me see, we might have to because some of these are kind of really big. Our mushrooms, our zucchini, onions, and bell peppers. All right, let me rinse my knife a little bit, guys. I'm back. That was fast, wasn't it? All right, so let's talk about our mushrooms first. I'm not sure if you know this, but you actually should not really wash your mushrooms in the water with in the sink. You should actually take a damp paper towel, and that's what I have, and just kind of wipe over them. Mushrooms are actually grown in water, so they don't really need extra water. All right, so I'm gonna just take, and once I do that, I'm just gonna take the little stem out. It started breaking anyway, so we'll just set that over here. And you guys should have your mushrooms inside your package. If you are doing this along with me, I hope you are. Cooking is fun. It's awesome. It's very therapeutic for me. I enjoy being in the kitchen. You know, there's sometimes when I'm doing this professionally, sometimes when I come home, I eat cereal just because I don't want to be in the kitchen anymore. But when I'm not cooking all the time, I love to cook. My sister and I, we live together and we take turns cooking dinner. We actually have a menu on our refrigerator. And it's just something good to have just because, one, it helps you shop. If you create a menu, and it could be just simple things. If you create a menu, you actually go to the store and not just put random things in your shopping cart, which sometimes you can do anyway, but it does help if you already have a base. It's like, oh, today I'm gonna make, let's see, spaghetti. So then you get all the things that you need to make your spaghetti with. All right, let's see here, pull these out. You know what I love are portobello mushrooms on these two. The next time I'll use portobello. These are just white button mushrooms are the least expensive. You can find portobellos too, relatively inexpensive, depending on where you shop. A lot of times I do my shopping at Trader Joe's. If you are not able to get to that kind of store, then you always have like Aldi. Aldi is a really good place to get produce at a really good rate. And a lot of it is organic. Some of it isn't, but it's okay. Let's see, how many more do I have? I have a lot. You should probably use, so you guys should have like 8 skewers in your kit. You might still have vegetables left over, which is fine. You could use that for another dish. You could actually chop that up and put it into spaghetti sauce, like I was just saying. So having the zucchini and the red pepper and the bell pepper and the onion make a really good sauce, making sauce from scratch. If you're making like a tomato sauce from scratch, you would just get a can of tomato paste or tomato sauce, and then get your ingredients and then put those in a pan, saute it, add your sauce on top of it, add salt and pepper, and bam, you got spaghetti sauce. Okay, I got like a few more here, guys. And the only reason I'm doing this in front of you guys so that you kind of can see what I'm doing. I mean, I would have done this off camera, but it's kind of cool. You know, it's therapeutic. I only have like 4 more. That's why I'm talking to you guys while I'm doing it. So that way you're, you know, not being distracted. It's like, oh my God, we should get to another thing. We're going to get there. All right. So let's see here. 3 more. And you can have your kids do this while if you have children at home, you could have your children do this while you're getting other things together. Kids love to be in the kitchen. I know I started out when I was really young too, and my mom had me in the kitchen, probably at the age of like 6 or 7. I was helping my mom cook. And that's kind of what inspired me to actually do this for a living. She used to bake breads. That was basically her thing. She did a lot of breads. Now, breads are not my forte. My forte is like cake. Cake and cookies. All right, this is the last one, guys. That's it. All right. So let's squeeze all of this into this strainer here to get this out of my way. Put that over there. All right, let's talk about cutting. All right, so for our mushrooms, we're probably going to take these and cut these in half. So I'm going to take it, and once again, I'm going to make sure I'm beer clawing, fingers around the blade, and then I'm just going to cut it in half like that. Let me see, do I want to do it again? Yeah, let's do it again. Then we're going to quarter it, basically. I just wanted to make sure that I have enough to stick the skewer through it. All right, so I'm going to just kind of cut through. Notice that I'm barely lifting my knife, except for when I'm actually pulling it out. And like I said, that keeps you from getting cut. It's kind of quiet over there, guys. I hope it's not too quiet in here for you. I don't know any jokes. But I wanted you guys to be able to hear me. I actually had the hoods on, but it's kind of hard to hear over the hoods. All right. That's done, guys. That's a lot of mushrooms. All right, so let's do our zucchini next. And like I said, we don't have to cut the cherry tomatoes because they are already cut. All of my vegetables have been washed. I pre-washed them off of camera. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the end off of the zucchini. And we're just gonna do circles. Just slice down. I love zucchini, but my sister is not a fan of it, so I don't really make it a lot at home. And because we're both eating, we try to cook where both parties are gonna want to eat it. Now, she's never been a squash fan, but that's okay. You don't have to be. And this is a option. You don't have to put zucchini on there. If you don't like zucchini or don't want to use it, you don't have to. It's actually mainly an option. All right, all of that's cut. All right, now let's go to our bell pepper. All right, the best way to cut this is to actually take it and set it down this way. You're going to take your finger and you're actually gonna like cover over it and then slice it in half. And then we're gonna go in and then just take our hand and just pull out the seeds and everything. It just comes out so easily. Bam. This little part of the vein, you can take that out too. It's a little bitter. Now you probably could take these seeds and like replant them. My sister is the planter in the house. She's got a little garden inside of our little tiny studio. Okay, all right, that's cut. Then the next thing we're gonna do with that is we're gonna take this and then cut it in half. And then we're going to cut it in half again. And then we're just going to cut it in, let's see, 1, 2, 3 kind of like chunks. I hope you guys can see that. Let me move those zucchini over. Can you guys see? That size right there. Cut it again. So that's like 3 pieces out of that. You can also double this recipe if you want to make more of these. And after I cut my vegetables, guys, I'm going to, before we get started skewing, I actually start heating my pan. So once again, you're gonna cut it in half, lay it down and cut it in half again. It is so much easier for you to cut a pepper with the skin side down. If you try cutting it here, that's cool too, but you get more of a grip if you actually lay it skin side down. And then it's not sliding all over the place. All right, let's see, how many more do I have? Got one more. This is a really great summertime food. Like I said, when it's nice and hot and we're supposed to be getting some really hot weather next week, this is a great meal to have. And it's low preparation, but it's a really good meal. You can actually serve this with rice if you want to serve it with a salad, or you can just eat it by itself. All right, here comes the real fun part, guys. Is doing the onion. I'm gonna move these over here. I'm going to turn my cutting board around. So I got all my vegetables still on my cutting board. I have a huge green cutting board, so it's pretty big. All right, so just a little tip. This part of the onion is the root. We are going to leave that on while we're cutting. And the reason being, if you ever cry when you cut onions, because I know I used to a lot, the reason why is the gases from the onion are in the back here in the root. So don't cut that off yet. Leave that on until we get to the end. Then you come in and cut that off. Then by that time, you've cut your onion into all of your pieces. We're not going to be mincing today. We're actually just going to cut these in chunks. So I'm actually going to cut over my vegetables. If I were you, I would probably I could probably get my other cutting board. It's just easier because this is a green cutting board. It's actually for produce. Sometimes wooden cutting boards don't work well when you're using onions because this is porous and the onion is going to stain or go inside and it's harder to get the onion smell out. So that's why I'm using a plastic cutting board. All right, so basically what we want to do, make sure those bear claw hands Fingers around, thumb here, nothing, none of that here. All right. So you're going to bear cut, you're going to cut it in half. You can use the top part of your hand to press through it. All right. So I've just left the root on. We're going to quarter it. Oh, make sure you take your peel off, guys. I forgot to mention that. I've already unpeeled mine, and it's pretty easy. These are real thin, so you can just run it over water and take the peel off. You don't have to like make a big deal. If you pull too much, hey, it is what it is. All right, so I've already taken my peel off, so I don't need to do that. You're going to quarter it again, and then you're going to quarter it again. All right. Then we're just going to take it and we're just going to cut it in half. All right. And these chunks are what's going to go on your skewer. Just like that. See, that was so simple with the cuts. I think I might, let me see. Do I want to cut this one a little bit smaller? Yeah. I'm going to cut this one just a little bit smaller just because it is a little big. So let's just cut that in half again. All right. Now we're going to come to the end and cut that root off. All right. If you have a compost at home, I don't know if you guys do any composting, you can always take any of your food scraps and put those in the compost. Unfortunately, I don't have a compost because of where we live, but I am very familiar with composting. My mom still does it. She lives where there's like plenty of land so she can actually compost. All right, so we're going to cut this again. And then cut that off. Cut that in pieces. Cut that. Come back here. Now, like I said, you only have 8 skewers, so if you don't use all of these vegetables, that's fine. Just put them in a container or a bag, a Ziploc, and then seal them up for later use. I would use them, though, within the next day or two. Fresh cut produce doesn't have a really long shelf life. So quarter again. This has got this a rough piece on there. All right, we got one more quarter over here, guys, and then we can get to skewing. I'm probably not going to do all of this because it is a lot. I'm going to check my timer in a minute, guys, to see how we're looking on time for the marinade. Did I just say that? Oh, my God. Like, am I psychic or what? Time's up. All right, so that's 15 minutes that have gone by, guys. Okie dokie. So all of these are in like kind of like 1.5 to 1 inch chunks, pieces, or whatever you want to call it. And then we are ready to get to skewing. All right. Everything is cut. Got my cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna get my knife and all of these utensils out of my way because I don't need that anymore. Bring my plate over here. I just have a regular plate, just a little plastic plate, just so that I can put my ones that I've already put all together onto this first before I put it in the pan. So let's go over to the stove. And I'm going to take some olive oil and a paper towel. And basically what I'm doing at this point, I'm actually, can you guys see what I'm doing in the camera here? I'm actually taking some of the olive oil onto the paper towel and then just rubbing it into the pan. If you have a brush, you can use that too. This is just going to get in the crevices. I love cast iron because it really gives a really good flavor when you're cooking things. And then I'm just gonna turn my flame on low heat so I can start heating the pan and make sure it's nice and hot before we start putting the skewers on. I hope you guys are having fun doing this if you're going along with me. Okay, that's all we needed to do with that. We just wanted to coat it. Like I said, if you have spray, you can actually use a spray oil too. All right, let's get my flame on here. Kind of got it on low. This is a gas stove, so if you have an electric stove, it's like medium. You don't want the burners to be like real bright red. You kind of want it to be medium because we're going to give this time to heat up. All right, so let's start having fun here. All right, so I'm going to take my skewer. You can start with whatever you would like. I probably wouldn't use the tofu. Well, let's backtrack. I probably wouldn't use the tofu first because you will want to put something on it so that the tofu doesn't break off. Because like I said, it is very fragile in this stage. If you were to freeze it, it actually gives more of a texture so that way, when you put it at the end, it's like, oh, it's not going to like break apart. So I'm going to put another vegetable. So let's see what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with the zucchini. So you just start from the top. You're going to push it through like that. Be careful you don't stick yourself. Leave about an inch to an inch and a half where your finger can go so you can actually hold that. All right, what else do I want to do next? Let's do a mushroom. So I'm going to just start from the bottom. Just push it through there like that. Now let's get a piece of tofu. Put that on there. It's going to drip a little bit, guys. That's okay. That's why you got to sink. All right, so let's use an onion next. Cherry tomato. Let's see, I think I'm going to stick this in sideways. Okay, so then we're just going to repeat that. Did I get everything up? Oh, bell pepper. Okay, then we're just going to repeat. All right, so zucchini, mushroom, tofu. What else did I do? Onion, grape tomato. And these tomatoes are huge. And then do I do bell pepper? Bell pepper. So that's the last one. All right, and that's what it looks like, guys. All right, so let's just set that over to the side, and then let's do all the rest of them. Zucchini. Let me pull my bowl closer because this is actually making a mess a little bit, but it's all good. I'm gonna push this down just a wee bit more. All right, what did I start with? Zucchini, mushrooms. I'm gonna do tofu next. Tofu. And it doesn't really matter, guys. You don't have to do it in any kind of order. I'm just doing this to be silly, that's all. So it's not like you got to put it on any kind of way. However you choose to put it on. If you want to put more of something on there, say if you want to put 3 tofus instead of 1 or 2, then do what you like. And I think I might do that for this one. Let's put 2 on this one. Get a little bit more tofu on here since I got a lot of it. All right, then let's do pepper, onion, tomato. All right, next, mushroom, zucchini, let's see. Tofu, let's see, onion. What else? Bell pepper. I only have 1 tomato on here. Let's put another one on here. Need to have more than 1 tomato. I love tomatoes. All right, that's 2. Zucchini. mushroom. And try to figure out what's the best way to put it on there so that it doesn't split it in half. However you feel that you can get it on there without splitting, that's the best way to do it. So I'm gonna do 2 more pieces of tofu. I'm gonna turn my pan down just a little bit because I can see when you know your pan is ready, you start seeing the smoke come from it. So I'm gonna just turn it down just a little bit more. I'm on a professional kitchen stove, so these literally don't take long. So I'm just gonna just turn that off for just a second here because I don't want it to smoke too bad because then I gotta turn on the fans, guys, and you might not be able to hear me. Most regular stoves, even with a gas stove, don't heat up as fast as a commercial kitchen stove. So onion. What else? I'm losing track here, guys. Let's see. Another tofu. Pepper. Onion. Zucchini. Mushroom. I want to do another tofu on this one. Another tofu. I'm just kind of mixing it up a little bit. Let's do another cherry tomato on the end. Boom. All right. And like I said, make sure if you're using a real grill to soak your skewers before you put them on there. All right, zucchini. Let's start with zucchini again. Mushroom. Let's do 2 tofus here. 2. Let's do an onion, bell pepper, and then cherry tomato. And now, guys, I'm not going to do all of mine because I want you guys to see me actually cooking it. So I'm not going to finish all of mine. I'm going to probably do, well, let's see. I might do 1 more, and then I'll go ahead and start putting them in the pan so you guys can see me cooking. Because I know you might have other things you want to do today if you're watching. I hope everybody is having an awesome Saturday. Do I get everything on here? I'm missing some. Oh, more tofu. Let's put that on there. Another check. All right. Let's see, I'm missing something. Oh, zucchini. And like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to this. Just whatever you feel like doing. As you see, I'm not following any still pattern. All right. All right, no, you know what? I think I'm going to stop right now and then just cook these first, and then we'll come back to that later. I'm kind of wipe my hands up a little bit because this is super messy. Messy, messy. Okay. Got my towel. Let's put that over to the side. Let's turn our pan back on. And like I said, I'm doing low. So on this stove, I actually have to do low heat just because the flame is huge. Let's bring our skewers over. So this is rubber tongs. This is really great for any nonstick foods. This is actually what I'm going to use to actually take the skewers off with because you never want to reach into a hot pot. Danger, danger. You always want to make sure you have, and I like these because they do stay cool in your hand. Sometimes the plain metal ones can get hot if you set them too close to the stove or if you set them on the stove. So my pan is heating. I'm gonna just give it about a couple of more minutes to basically soak up some more of that oil. Kind of wipe off my area a little bit. Because, man, I was spilling juice everywhere. but the cleanup part is afterwards. All right, we're ready to come on. So we're gonna just set these on here, and you hear that sizzle, guys? That's how you know that it's sizzling. You also, if you want to add more flavor, you can actually take a little bit of the juice and then put it on. Let me see, can I get all of these in here? Can I do it? Can I do it? Yeah. Okay. So say you wanted a little bit more flavor, you could actually take some of the juice, the marinade, and then pour it on top of that, which I might do a little bit of that, just to give it a little bit more flavor. So I'm just using my measuring cup and then scooping out just a little bit, not too much. And you're just gonna coat that on top of that. And then it's gonna sizzle even more. I think I might have to turn the fan down, guys. Can you still hear me? I hope you can. I'll speak loud. But yeah, you want to make sure that anytime you have anything that's smoking, have your vents and your hoods on so that your smoke doesn't go out. It gets sucked up into the vent. And we're going to leave this on one side for probably about 7 minutes. So let's pull out my handy dandy timer. And you don't have to be this precise. You can just do whatever you choose to. I'm just doing this just because. So I'm going to clear this out, give it 7 minutes, and start. Basically, all you want to do is be able to get the lines from the grill on there. You might need to turn it, and it's actually doing this pretty fast, guys, pretty fast. I hope you guys have really enjoyed watching me do this, guys. This was super fun. I enjoy being in the kitchen with you guys. I'm so happy to be a part of the Greater Newark Conservancy Family Fun in the Kitchen. It's like a blast. This is my first one, so I'm so excited. Everybody on the team has been very welcoming, and I super enjoy it. I love it. I appreciate even the ones who came in today who are not necessarily working today. So I thank you so much. And it is kind of smoking, guys. Can you kind of see that a little bit? So I'm going to come over here and kind of turn it a little bit. Like I said, you can do all of this prep the day before. So you don't necessarily say if you've come home, you've had a long day, you don't want to be bothered with this in one day. You can actually cut all your vegetables, container them up, Ziploc them up, whatever you want to do with them. Cut your tofu the day before, make your marinade, and then skew them. And actually, if you make your marinade the night before, it actually really has a lot more time to settle. Unfortunately, I didn't want to do that because I wanted you guys to see me do it on camera. So I would have probably done it the night before and then used that. But it actually will look really great. And see, one of my tofu pieces fell off. That's okay. Next time I'll actually freeze the tofu because it actually changes the consistency of it. Well, let me see how we're looking on time here, guys. All right, saying we got about 4 more minutes. All right, while I'm doing that, let me clean because I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. I really appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to rinse my plate, and then while I'm doing that, they should be ready to take out. The stems for the mushrooms, you can keep those and make that into like a soup stock. It would be kind of like a vegetable soup. Or if you want to use a meat soup, that's too cool too. During the winter, fall and winter, I love to make a lot of hearty soups. I eat soup during the summer too, but I'll eat more lighter soups, like maybe like lentil soup. Some of the heavier soups I save for winter time, fall and winter, because it heats my body, and I'd rather be heated more during the fall and winter than summer. All right, guys, we are pretty much done. That's what they look like once they're cooked. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Saturday to kind of watch me. I'm turning off my flame on my pot. We've got our grilled kebabs all ready and finished and ready to eat. Thank you so much, guys. I hope to see you. Oh, you have a question? Oh, sorry. I don't want to get off and not answer any questions. Sorry, guys. Okay, so what's the question?
First, Sabrina says that she's happy to be participating.
Okay, awesome, Sabrina. Thank you, Felicia.
Nikki asks, have you ever bought potatoes? If you have, is it better to pre-roast them?
For potatoes, no, I haven't done that, but you can. Let me see, pre-roasting them. No, I wouldn't pre-roast them. Well, let me see. I was trying to see what would be the best way to keep them kind of tough. Maybe so. Maybe pre-roast them because I was trying to see. I was gonna say like parboil them, but if you parboil them, it might be that they get too soft too quick. So you can try roasting. I've never tried potatoes on there though, but that sounds really good.
Nikki also asks, is there a difference in the taste of using stainless steel or wooden skewers?
No, there's not a difference in taste. Stainless steel skewers are just reusable and they can be hot. So when you're pulling them off, just be more careful. They conduct more heat than a wooden skewer would.
Nikki says that she's looking forward to a heart soup recipe.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
She's looking forward to a heart soup recipe.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to actually doing one, guys. I hope to see you guys next week. I've had so much fun doing this, and I hope you guys were cooking along. If you weren't, that's okay too. You have the recipe, which you should have, and your ingredients. This was really easy to make. It cost $6.35, guys, to make that. $6.35. I kid you not, I would not lie to you about it. It is really inexpensive to make plant-based meals. Thank you so much, and I do look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care now.